Hello, everybody. It is Chrissy Key Rollins here with Holistic Restoration. And I was talking with Victoria with Victory Power Yoga to see how I could contribute to your community at this time now that we are kind of have had everything thrown up into the air and we're settling into a new normal. We don't know how long this normal is going to last. And we are facing day in and day out of uncertainty as we ride the waves through this coronavirus epidemic that is happening not only throughout our country but around the world. So right now it is more important than ever, I feel, to be mindful, to be aware of what is happening within your own mindset, and to be an active participant in engaging with your mindset. Hey, whoever just joined live, chime in and let me know that you're here. Chat in if you can and join the conversation. If there's anything in particular that you would love to know around mindfulness, being more mindful or having better mindful habits, then definitely let me know. That's what I'm here to support today. And actually, until further notice, because I'm signing up for service. These are the times where this kind of support is most timely. So let's talk about how we can take this same idea. I mean, y'all are yogis, so you're practicing yoga. When you're on the mat, you have your mind centered on yourself, your body, your practice, where you're at. And we can take that same mindset, that same philosophy, that same concept, that same practice off the mat into our waking life, into our walking life, into our waking life, like you do yoga in your sleep. Well, some of you might do yoga in your sleep. So into your moving around life outside of the yoga studio, off the yoga mat. And when we think about mindfulness, what we're talking about, if you want to get to a textbook definition, it is just the state or quality of being mindful or aware of something. So when we talk about mindfulness, we're just upping our awareness of not only what is happening around us, because we can be more mindful about what's happening around us. But right now, during these times, it seems like the more mindful we become with what's happening around us, the more uncomfortable we can get, especially if we're engaging with social media, with which us being at this social distance at this time, a lot of us are turning for our connections on social media. And I don't know what your social media is like, but I know that my social media is corona, 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 corona. Updates, watch out, be sure, reminders. And there's a lot of everywhere that you look in your face reminders that you should be concerned, or that there's something to potentially be worried about, or yeah, even if you want to stay high vibe and focus, it's kind of hard whenever you turn around and you see it smack right there in your face. So since we cannot control what updates get pushed through social media, since we can't control what ads get sponsored in our face, since we can't control what is happening, who is being affected by this, and we can't control the virus itself or the outside circumstances, then where we can look is to where we do have power, where we do have control. And where we do have power and we do have control is what is happening within us as we are experiencing that is going on around us. I'm trying to pull up right now to see if I can see. I see some comments coming in, but I can't see who's here. So I'm going to try to pull up a second screen. So if you guys are here live and commenting, I can see that. Okay, so mindfulness, becoming more aware of what is happening inside of you. Now, here's a few things that I think will really help with this particular situation in mindfulness. One is that we have to, or I invite you to take a look at what opportunities are being offered to you through this current situation. So when we see we're limited in our resources, we're limited in our movements, we're limited in our options of what we can do, then we can start to see, well, where is it that I'm really attached to being able to move in the ways that I'm used to moving? And whenever we are forced, because this is the big reaction that's happening right now, what we're really in resistance to is this forced change. And when change is something that we select, it's a much different process than when it's something that is being forced over on to us. So now that we can understand, can't control what's happening around us, now that we can understand part of what's coming up inside of us is this reaction to this forced change, then we can start to see the gifts that forced change brings to us. And we do that through our mindfulness, paying attention to the thoughts that are coming up in your mind, paying attention to where that is leading you to, paying attention to the narratives, the storylines that are going through your mind whenever you see these posts, whenever you whenever you're triggered by these outside circumstances. So one of the best techniques that I love to employ when it is when I am inundated by all the circumstances around me that I'm finding challenging, that are outside of my control, is that I use that as a tool. I use it as my an indicator, a flashcard. That's how one of my mentors talks about it. He talks about how everybody's just a walking around flashcard, here to remind you of how you are to react and to engage with them. So if that flashcard is bringing fear, chaos, uncertainty, then it is a flashcard that reminds you to anchor back in to right now, in the moment, what is happening in the present. So returning to the now is one of the best ways that you can step back into your power, you can get back connected to yourself, and you can consciously choose how you're going to continue to move forward, even if you can't choose the circumstances of what you're moving into. But when you take the time to notice, instead of just running away with the thought, this is like a multi-step process. So step one is going to be upping your awareness to your internal dialogue, into that internal self-talk. Now, some of us have already done some self-talk work, and we talk way more kindly and calmly and much better to ourselves. However, how we can take it to this next level is being able to see how this mindset, like even if the words that you say to yourself, like maybe you don't put yourself down as much, or maybe you're more encouraging with the words that you say to yourself, you can take self-talk to a whole nother level by realizing the scenarios that you run through your mind, the fantasies that you play out in your mind of what could happen next, or what might happen next, and what will that mean, and then what will you do, and what will happen from there, and then what's going to happen. Those kind of scenarios, that is part of your self-talk too. That is part of your self-talk too. So where a lot of us that are drawn to these yoga communities, we've been on this personal development, spiritual development path for at least a little while, we can become more aware of our inner dialogue, but now it's an opportunity to take it to the next level. So if you've done well with changing your negative thinking about yourself to positive thinking, well done. Now it's time to take it to that next level and also shift and change the storylines that go along with those other scenarios that are running through your mind. Now, I'm getting a big intuitive hit that this would be helpful. So what I'm going to do along with sharing this information live right now, I'm going to drop a video in the comments below. Actually, let me go ahead and grab it while I'm sitting here talking to you. There's a video that I put out right at the start of the year that shares 5 energy themes that are going to be predominant throughout 2020. And I have found through this current situation that these 5 energy themes are super, super helpful for seeing how to shift the way that you're experiencing what's happening in the here and now, and to also understand what it is that the current situations are inviting you to. Okay, I'm going to put this link right here. So if you're here, just it's in the comments below, so you can find it and go back and check it out. But in this video, I'll share the 5 energy themes. Why is that not showing correctly? The 5 energy themes for 2020. And whenever you're looking at these, then you can start to take what is going through what is going on around you, and you can start to filter them through these 5 themes. So this is a great place to like up level that mindset, up level that mindfulness. But if you're new to this process, if you're just now starting to pay attention to what's going on internally inside your mind, then just stopping in the moments when you're finding yourself, when you find yourself getting lost in fearful thinking, that is your cue. So often we think that when we find ourselves lost in it, we've already screwed up, we've already missed the mark, and it's all just downhill from there. But in fact, awareness is a great liberator. Awareness is where change begins to happen. Awareness is always the first step. So when you find yourself aware that your mind is going in fearful thoughts and fearful thinking, and here's a clue. You're imagining things that you would prefer not to happen. That's a great clue that your mind has running off in directions that aren't necessarily not necessarily beneficial for you to follow. Let's put it that way. As you are aware that there is even a thought process happening, then what you'll begin to notice is that fear only lives in one of 2 places. Fear either lives in the past. I'm afraid that I did something wrong that's going to set me up for a detrimental thing, or this thing that happened in the past is stopping me from taking the action that I want to be doing right now or in the future. Or again, fear is going to be in the past, or it's going to be in the future. I wonder what's going to happen. And this is what's so tricky about uncertain times. With uncertain times, our mind searches for an ending. It wants to make logical sense. We're used to surviving this way. We have a very logical mind that helps us to navigate the world around us and survive. So the logical mind wants to figure out what can happen next. The logical mind looks to credited resources around it in the now, and it also looks to what past experiences it had. And when the mind looks around at what the options are now and what past experiences are, it then formulates and projects a guess as to what could happen next. And this is it's a very useful function of our mind because it keeps us surviving. It helps us to stay alive. It's great for times of true survival needs. Now, one could argue right now, Chrissy, is a time for true survival needs. Yes and no. If we think about survival as being in the here and now, right now, in front of you, facing in this moment, or in the moment just before this recording, the moment just after reviewing this recording, are you really facing a survival situation, or are you facing a benign situation in the now that could potentially turn into a survival situation? It's very important to distinguish the two, because if you realize the difference is that one hasn't happened and one is happening now. Survival need not actually being faced right now, all is well. So when we realize the fear lives in the past or the fear lives in the future, you can bring yourself right back to the now. When you find yourself getting lost in your thoughts, majority of us live up here in this space. Majority of us do not like our physical body. We don't like the way it looks. We definitely don't like the way it feels when things get uncomfortable. So we spend our time getting up into our head and living in this space, nearly detached from our body, which is what makes yoga so awesome, because it gets you back in touch with your body and back connected to your body and connects your mind and your spirit to your body. So powerful. But when we live up in our minds, we're not paying attention to what's happening physically in our body. And now we need to begin to connect the two so that we can start to tap into more of our intelligence. We've been done a disservice in our society. We've been taught that the mind is what controls things, or this is where all the logical thought processes take place, but this is where it's all happening. But in truth, or what I invite you to experience for yourself or explore on your own, is to expand that truth and to look at the mind and the body as one thing. The body is a mind, the brain is a mind. This works with this to give us all the information that we need. So if we notice we're getting caught up in these stories, if we can pay attention to what physical sensations are happening in our body in correlation with that thought process, then we can begin to anchor in. I call them emotional anchors. I've heard people talk about emotional anchors. They talk about anchoring in a lot of different ways. This is the way that I teach it. This is the way that I work with my clients. This is the way that I have found it most beneficial for myself to think about it. I think about emotional anchors being the sensations that come up in my body that correlate correlate with the thoughts that I'm having. So if my mind starts going in a thought, a worst case scenario, doom and gloom, everything's not going to work out, I feel myself start to physically restrict. I find my air passages kind of close up a little bit. I feel a tightness in my chest. I might get a little queasy in my stomach. All of this is an indicator as to what energy alignments are getting blocked. But regardless, you're going to feel it physically in your body. You notice it whenever you get enraged or infuriated. When somebody agitates you, you might notice that your skin feels like it's kind of crawling or like a fiery kind of sensation. There's an aliveness that happens in the body that correlates with the thoughts that we're thinking. And what I began to do, and I invite you to start to pay attention to, is that when my mind would think in a direction that I wasn't so interested in it going, I would start to notice the physical effects that are happening in my body. So as I felt that heat start to rise, as I felt that agitation start to surface, I could then make a mindful decision to come back to the present moment and ask myself, what is really going on? Is what my mind telling me the truth, the actuality, or is something else actually happening in front of me and my mind's gone running off on its own? And so what I do, I connect back to the here and now, and I get back connected to what I know to be absolutely true. I'm talking about truth with a capital T, to the best of our ability to know such things. What do I know to be absolutely true? So let's take, I'll give you a personal example from my life that has nothing to do with the coronavirus or what's going on currently, but it will be a great opportunity to kind of start to connect these dots on your own, so you can see how this all works together. So I found myself, okay, let me preface this by saying, I am a believer that I am fully responsible for the emotions that come up within me. It's not fully accurate, but that's a good way to say it. So what I mean is that I don't believe that somebody else has the power to make me feel a certain way, but I do know for certainty that when I react or interact with certain people, sometimes I get this emotions that come up, okay? But if you notice, nobody ever walks over to you and pours a bucket of mad on top of you and makes you mad. It doesn't happen. No, they just come in, lifing along, being however it is that they're being, and whatever it is that you see, that you observe, that you hear, it triggers a sensation from happening within you. Within you. So it's not that somebody comes in and makes you mad. Somebody shows up and the feeling of mad or agitation comes bubbling up from inside you. I find that this is a very important conversation because we, for most of us, have been inside with our loved ones for days now, for days, and not taking that space away from each other, not taking that space to really have that your own time. So now I think it's very, very easy for people to kind of trigger and agitate and get on each other's nerves, because I mean, just the fact that we're in such close proximities within our homes, and we're such limited interactions with other people. So now that you can see nobody ever makes you mad, but the feelings of anger that come up inside of you, then what can begin to happen is that as you start to catch the thoughts that you're thinking and the reactions that are coming up in your body, you can bring yourself back to the now and ask yourself what it is that you know to be true. So this is the scenario from my personal life that I'll share with you. I remember years ago when I first got this concept and I was playing around with it in my own life. I was, I don't know, doing laundry, something like that, washing dishes, I think it was. And I remember my husband coming home from work, and he walked through the door, and there was something that he said or he did that instantly triggered me. And I felt all this agitation come up from the surface, from inside of me. And I found myself thinking, he makes me so mad whenever he blah, 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 whatever it was that he did. I think he came in and just like dumped a bunch of stuff on the kitchen table after I had just cleared it off. Something very simple like that, that enraged me at the time, right? So I felt this anger rise to the surface. I heard my internal mind say, he makes me so mad when he does this. And then instantly I was able to realize he doesn't make me anyway. He doesn't make me mad. I feel mad. Okay. So now we're having a totally different conversation within Chrissy. So instead of being mad or him making me mad, I'm just feeling mad. So if I'm feeling mad, I believe that I believe that we can draw a line down the middle of our emotions and they fall into one of two categories, either love or fear. So love, expansion, openness, all of that good stuff, or fear, illusion, misconception. Okay. And I believe that anger falls into that category of fear. So instead of looking at anger as madness, start looking at anger as fear. In fact, you can look at anything that isn't so feel goody in the fear category. Grief is fear, sadness is fear, depression is fear, anger is fear, blase fear is fear. All of that just is all fear-based emotions. So if we take out the label of mad, if we take out the label of even scared, I know that that seems weird because fear and scared seem like two different or the same thing. They're not really, but they're kind of the same, right? But if we can understand that it is rooted in fear, if it makes you feel contracted, if it makes you feel wanting to pull back, this is the way that it feels in my body. Pay attention to your body. Your body might do different things, but it's how it feels to mine. If you feel that, that is a sign that whatever thought you are thinking, whatever storyline you are making up, whatever it is that you are observing is not true. It's not rooted in truth. It's rooted in non-truth. It's a pretty radical position to take, but explore it. Experiment with it. It's a worthwhile endeavor. So from that thought process, if I'm not mad, I'm afraid, then what is it that I'm afraid of? If he's not making me, I'm feeling it. And I'm not mad, I'm afraid. What could I be afraid of? What could my husband walking through the door and dropping his stuff on the kitchen table, how could that be a threat to me? How could that be something to be afraid of? Well, how it can be something to be afraid of is that if I've had previous conversations about how I wish that you wouldn't do that, and you just walk through the door and you dumped all your stuff there, then perhaps the fear that I'm feeling is not so much the stuff on the table, but the fear that what I have to say does not matter. Now, from that point, we can have a completely different conversation. From that point, I can get to the facts of what I know to be true. I don't know why he walked through the door the way he did. I don't know why he dumped the stuff on the table the way he did. I don't even really know exactly how he feels about me, but I do know one thing. He's my husband. He's committed to spending the rest of his life with me. So to some degree, given that solid fact, I must matter to him. I must. So if I were to matter to him, and I have said this to him, and he's still doing it, what else could be going on here? Now I can open up the door to a totally different conversation, or I can have a totally different sense of resolution within myself, because then I can see his actions are independent from me and that they are not personal. And if they are personal, now I can have a different conversation with him that can actually get to that. My point in sharing all of this is that you may find yourself doing the same thing. You see a post, you have a conversation, you know you got to go to the grocery store, and you feel that fear pop into your mind. What if I go? What if I'm exposed? What if no symptoms show up? What if this exacerbates? What if everything shuts down? What if I can't work? What if there's no money? What if everything goes bad? And all you're trying to do is go to the grocery store, but yet you've devastated the world before you even put your shoes on. This is the type of toxicity that others cannot clear from your energy field. This is your toxicity that you've been assigned to clear out from your energetic field. The way that it goes in felt like crap. The way that it comes out is going to feel like crap too. But you don't have to react to the crap as it comes up as if it's coming in, because it's on its way out. So you can just let that shit go, right? We are energetic beings. We have these experiences. We make up stories about what they mean. We impose those stories over future circumstances that's not even true. It just looks like it. So instead of reacting to what things look like, come back to using your body as a beautiful anchoring tool to let you know how the thoughts happening up here are helping you or not helping you. So when you find yourself connected to a thought that brings that closeness, that brings that that anxiety, that fear, that worry, that anxiousness to the table, This is your assignment for the moment. It is not you. You are not these emotions. You are not these feelings. You are an emotional being who is feeling energetic sensations that are passing through you right now. And as part of this collective human consciousness, there's a lot of fear, a lot of angst, a lot of worry. And you're going to be entrained into it. You're going to be on the wavelength of it. And there's a few different ways that we get into the wavelength of it. One is that we subject ourselves to it by continuing to engage in social media that is apparently committed to keeping us updated and informed and as fearful as possible. It does seem like at times. So while we are engaging with these platforms, while we are under this lockdown, while we are going through all of this, we are still collected to this entire collective human consciousness, and we are connected to each other through the energy of emotions, and that's how we sense what is happening in the world. So when you find yourself anxious, overwhelmed, fearful, remember, in part it is the experience that you're having, but in part it's your assignment to clear. And the way that we clear it is that we recognize what is happening, we get back connected to the truth, we shine the light on the situation, we cast out all the shadows, and we allow ourselves to evolve and move on. And sometimes it happens instantaneously. Sometimes our ego's like, I don't care, I'm still agitated, and that's fine, because part of what we're trying to free up is to get away from this belief that some emotions are good and some emotions are bad. And that if you do enough right things, you can get all the good emotions, but if you keep effing things up along the way, you're going to get more of the bad. And I'm here to say, what if there is no good or bad? What if there is just emotion? And what if there's just sensation? And what if there's just feeling? And what if none of it's an indicator as to how much you're getting right or how much you're getting wrong? But what if all of it is an invitation to love yourself more deeply, to connect back to the present moment, to return back to the truth that you know for sure? We don't know what's going to happen next. But what's so crazy about all of this is that 3 weeks ago, 3 months ago, the day before all of this started to take over our lives, when you were going through the day-to-day motions of that day, you still didn't know what was coming next. You still were living each moment with a level of uncertainty, but you had a level of comfort that went with that uncertainty, a level of expectations that you had in place of assuming that everything was still going to be fine. You can employ that same power right here, right now, and get back into that same mindset and understanding. Every day is a faith walk. Every moment is a gift to us. We are never guaranteed what's going to happen next, and we are never shown anything more than what is happening right here in the now. So just like you're entrained with all these other energetic beings and you're empathing and feeling all of these emotions and these feelings come to you so that you can help to clear it, just feel it. That's how you clear it for the collective human consciousness. You recognize it and you let it pass. You breathe through it. I often say, this is my assignment. Apparently, Chrissy's signing up for duty, and right now she is pissed off because apparently somebody in this world has been feeling this way. And in fact, if I stop to think about it, probably a lot of people have been feeling this way. But I have been sent these emotions to deal with because I can process them. I can let them pass through me without extra detriment to other people because I'm not going to do something drastically harmful to others as I ride out this wave of emotions. So I take it on as my duty, and it allows me to step into a more empowered place. And just like things come to me and through me to be cleared out, we can also inject and infuse good energy back into this energy field, back into the collective human consciousness. And all that you have to do is get into touch with that feeling, that emotion within yourself. I do this again through mindfulness. So here's the process. I notice my fearful thinking. I think to myself, oh, need to run to the grocery store. Oh, got coronavirus out there. Oh, now all the detrimental things going through my mind, right? Then I catch myself and I realize, wait a second, is all that happening right here in front of me? No, it's not. Okay, so what is happening right here in front of me? Right here in front of me is the reminder that around the world, people are putting on their shoes to get ready to go to the store and they are freaking out. So the most powerful thing that I can do in this moment is to send calm, loving thoughts, not only to myself to ease my own heart, but out there to everyone. So as I picture people lacing up their shoes, slipping on their shoes, grabbing their jacket, getting their face mask, whatever it is that they need to head out to the store, to the grocery store, I'm picturing them doing it with confidence. I'm picturing them surrounded in a protective, loving white light. I picture them bringing more love and goodness to the world. I send them love. I send them vibes. I send them healthiness. I send them light. I just go through using this miraculous muscle that we can use to paint worst case scenario pictures. I put them into painting best case scenario. How is this going to work out better? Now, that's not to say you just hold on to that and that's the way it's going to go. But it's to say right here, right now, in this moment, when you shift your thoughts from worst case scenario to maybe it's going to be okay, what begins to happen within yourself? That same thing that's happening within yourself goes out collectively to everybody. And to me, that's pretty cool, because then my peace of mind, my wellness, my centeredness doesn't just change my world, it changes the world of everybody else that's around me. And I think that right now is a great time to self-assess. Where have you been holding tightly? Where have you been expecting things to fall exactly into place to make sure you are taken care of? We are part of something so much greater than you just getting everything right. And part of what is being freed up from us right now is for life to say, hey, look, I got you. I've got you. Not these government systems, not these hospitals, not these schools, not these infrastructures that you have relinquished over to make all the decisions in your life. Not them, because as you can see, all of that's crumbling down. But I have you, the universe. I'm still breathing through you. You are still necessary. You are still safe. You are still supported. You are still well. And to get to where we're going, not only do we need to connect more to ourselves as individuals, not only do we need to connect more to the humanity within everybody, but we also have to become more connected, more in union with, more in co-creative partnership with the universe around us. Nature, trees, Mother Earth, the bigger thing that's unfolding that we're just a little part of. Connect to that energy, call it in, and anchor it in. So as you're moving forward, pay attention. What stories are going through your mind? Breathe yourself back to the here and now. You can take a deep centering breath to come right here, right back to the now. So let's put this in simple ABC terms. So first step, A, awareness. Become aware of the thoughts that are going through your mind. Become aware of the sensations that are happening in your body. Become aware of that fearful thinking. It or whatever you're thinking. If you like what you're thinking, keep on thinking it. If it's making you feel good, excited, joyous, happy, keep on doing it. Your joy matters more now than ever. More than ever. Connect to it. Focus on it. You are the light. You can bring the light into every situation. It starts with awareness. Then B, breathe. Breathe yourself back to the here and now. Take that deep centering breath. Fill yourself up with all the worry, all the anxiety, all the everything that's around you, that's frustrating you, that's outside of your control. Breathe it all in, and then empty yourself out. Ground yourself into the here and now, right here, right now. Grounded and empty. You stand, you sit, ready to be filled with whatever you choose. Whatever you choose. So then you choose the choice. You make the choice. You choose the thought process. You go down the storyline of best case scenario. How would you want it to be? And now sometimes, or make the choice as if you're supported and best case scenario is going to work out down the road. Now, here's an important caveat. Just because it's your best case scenario doesn't mean it's going to go that way, and that's okay. Because it's not about getting things exactly how you want them. It's about getting the essence and the experience of what it is that you truly desire. So how you get there matters not. What it looks like doesn't matter. As long as you're there, okay, we can do this. So think about it in that sense. Be detached from what it looks like, but connected to the energy of what you desire and where it's trying to lead you. And what you'll find, as I have found, is that 100% of the times when you are so certain that it is all coming down, that it is all crumbling, that it is all over, it is not. It is not. Follow this process. Awareness, breath, choice. Come back to the now. Let that fear go and know that if it does show up, that's okay. It's not to be battled with, it's to allow the flow and then just let it go again. All right, I'm feeling complete here. Definitely drop some comments. Let me know. Awareness, breath, choice. What are your best mindfulness tips? Fear doesn't live in the present, only in the past and in the future. Drop them below and reach out for support. I'm going to be putting together some support options so that people can stay connected, individual masterclasses, ongoing support, all of that. No excuses, no one turned away. I'm here to serve and support your community and help you all through this. So reach out and stay connected and drop some thoughts below. Let me know if this was helpful for you. All right, love y'all.